In February 1999, a chilling report surfaced. Lindsay was missing. 53 days had passed since anyone had seen her. Her husband, Mitchell, painted a grim picture, a wife and mother who had supposedly abandoned her family on Christmas Day. With calculated desperation, he paraded his sorrow before every media outlet that would listen. But beneath his public display of grief, whispers of doubt began to stir. Something about his story didn't quite add up.
Did you kill Lindsay?
I'm not going to answer that. I'm not going to answer that question because I don't need to. You make up your own mind, because eventually everyone will find out.
Lynsey Wilson was known for her vibrant personality and radiant smile. At 17, she became pregnant by her first serious boyfriend. However, the relationship ended when she was 5 months along, leaving her to face single motherhood. Shortly after, she met Mitchell Quy, 3 years her senior. Mitchell was charming and attentive, often bringing her flowers and cards. Within 5 weeks of meeting, they married in 1995. Lindsay's family expressed concerns about the rapid progression of their relationship, but Lindsay was captivated by Mitchell's charisma. Soon after their marriage, Lindsay began to see a darker side of Mitchell. He became increasingly jealous and abusive. In early 1998, Lindsay left Mitchell due to his violent behavior. Despite the separation, they reconciled months later, but the abuse continued. Mitchell's violent outbursts escalated, and he even SA'd Lindsay in their living room while their children were present. The couple had 2 children, Robin from Lindsay's previous relationship, and Jack, born in October 1997.
Now, mother of 2 Lynsey Quy disappeared on Christmas Day last year. The police, after months of searching for Lindsay, are now treating it as a murder inquiry, and as a result, they've dug up her husband Mitchell's garden and scoured his house, convinced that she's dead.
For the next 15 months, Mitchell maintained that Lindsay had left him for another man. He appeared in media interviews, including on the Richard and Judy TV chat show, pleading for her return and claiming she had abandoned their children. He even reported false sightings of Lindsay, asserting he had seen her with another man in Southport.
Did you kill her?
No.
Why would you walk out on the kids as well?
I don't know. It's a question you could only ask Lindsay.
In early 1997, Lindsay discovered she was pregnant. However, the couple's relationship was in a rocky phase, and Lindsay decided to have an abortion, believing it wasn't the right time to raise a child with Mitchell. This event deeply affected Lindsay, and the relationship deteriorated further. By mid-1997, Lindsay and Mitchell briefly broke up. Friends and family hoped she would move on for good. Despite the breakup, Mitchell persuaded Lindsay to give the relationship another chance. In December 1997, the couple married, with Lindsay determined to make the relationship work. By early 1998, Lindsay became pregnant again and decided to keep the baby, believing that motherhood would bring stability to their lives. Throughout 1998, their relationship remained volatile. Lindsay confided in friends that Mitchell's behavior had worsened, and she was determined to leave him after the birth of their second child. Tragically, she never got the chance.
You know, I was going around telling everyone absolutely completely made up. We got home that night and she told me she was going to have an abortion. To cut a long story short, she had an abortion and I left her.
Mitchell was asked why he failed to report Lindsay to the police or her family.
Lindsay's family, they're the last people I'd contact. Why would I contact Lindsay's family? Lindsay's family, we just don't like each other.
He claimed that she abandoned him and the kids, and he saw her in town with another man.
As I come round here, Lindsay was the front seat passenger. She was like here, there. So that's when she said, call me a fucking wanker, that's where she was stood by me. It's just sad. I mean, do you know what, any idea what I felt like when this first began? People accusing me, or not accusing me, but saying things in the newspapers about people talking about me, people thinking I'd kill me. Do you have any idea what it felt like, how much I had to, how many times I've walked out my front door and how many times I've thought to myself, I just can't, I don't want to walk out there with people looking at me, thinking I've done something like that to my wife. No idea what it feels like.
Detective Superintendent Jeff Sloan said that Mitchell exploited the whole situation by talking to the media throughout 18 months. He almost goaded me by going to the media. I just felt he was an egotist in exploiting the situation. He started to revel in his own notoriety. Mitchell had sent the detective a Christmas card with a bottle of hair dye and a note saying he should get rid of the gray bits to have extra confidence. Mitchell Quy was first arrested in June 1999, approximately 6 months after Lynsey Quy disappearance in December 1998. By this point, police were growing increasingly suspicious of Mitchell due to his inconsistent statements, controlling behavior, and lack of genuine concern for Lindsay's well-being. Lindsay's family insisted she would never abandon her children, making Mitchell's story that she had simply walked out seem implausible. Police had found no evidence that Lindsay was alive, no bank activity, no phone calls, and no confirmed sightings. Mitchell's public interviews and media appearances raised eyebrows due to his calm demeanor and lack of emotion. Investigators believed they had enough circumstantial evidence to take Mitchell in for questioning. They suspected foul play, but at that time they didn't have any physical evidence to charge him with murder. Mitchell was released without charge after his initial arrest. He was not formally charged because police lacked sufficient evidence to hold him. They had strong suspicions, but needed concrete proof, such as forensic evidence or a confession, to proceed with a murder charge.
Is it right to arrest someone with no evidence? No evidence whatsoever. Not one thing.
So what was your time like when you were in custody?
It was horrible. You can imagine. I mean, I've never been in the cells before that time. I will not stop until they either apologise to me or I get compensated because I think I deserved it. I've been branded a murderer in this town. I've got to the point now where the more pressure they put on me, the stronger I'm getting, and the more determined I am to find Lindsay and sue the balls off the police. I've had enough of Jeff Sloan.
Mitchell's threat to sue the police ultimately came to nothing. He never filed any legal action, and his media stunt failed to change the course of the investigation.
I'm thinking about proving it.
About proving it, yeah. I think that's probably going to be one of the lines we use, yeah.
Or maybe the headline.
I'll have a look through it. Yeah. I just think the headline on Wednesday is probably going to be something. Mitchell sues police or something. To sue police.
The investigation took a more serious turn in the middle of 1999. Detectives became increasingly convinced that Lindsay had been murdered, but they had no body and no hard evidence to support this theory. July 1999. Police launched a covert surveillance operation on Mitchell Quy, monitoring his movements and phone calls. Forensic teams conducted a thorough search of the Quy family home, but they found no traces of Lindsay. Investigators knew Mitchell was hiding something, but he remained calm and confident, believing he had outsmarted them. During this period, police also re-interviewed Lindsay's family and friends, building a picture of a troubled marriage. Lindsay had confided in friends that Mitchell was controlling and abusive, and she had been contemplating leaving him for good before her disappearance. As the months dragged on, the police continued to apply psychological pressure on Mitchell. The media spotlight was no longer in his favor, and suspicions within the community grew stronger. Detectives conducted several high-profile searches in late 1999, focusing on areas near the Southport coast. These searches were accompanied by increased public appeals for information, raising community awareness, and placing Mitchell under constant scrutiny. Mitchell began to crack. His once confident demeanor became increasingly defensive and erratic. Detectives noticed changes in his behavior during subsequent interviews, and in June 2000, Mitchell was arrested on suspicion of murder. Initially, he denied involvement, but mounting evidence led to his confession. He was charged with murder, and his trial began in December 2000.
He willingly admitted the frauds because he couldn't escape the fact that he had forged Lindsay's signature on her benefit books after the Christmas time.
The trial of Mitchell Quy for the murder of his wife, Lynsey Quy, began in 2001 at Liverpool Crown Court. It was one of the most shocking and highly publicized trials of its time, due to the gruesome details of the crime and Mitchell's chilling manipulation throughout the investigation. The trial lasted several weeks, during which the jury heard harrowing evidence that painted Mitchell as a manipulative, violent, and remorseless man. The prosecution argued that Mitchell killed Lindsay sometime between December 14th and December 16th, 1998. After strangling her, he dismembered her body and disposed of her remains over several days with the help of his brother, Elliot Quy. Lindsay had begun quietly making plans to leave Mitchell. She knew it wouldn't be easy. Mitchell was possessive and manipulative, and she feared his reaction. According to her friends, Lindsay had spoken about saving money and exploring her legal options to gain custody of her children. She wanted to move back in with her family and rebuild her life without him. Her sister later revealed that Lindsay had grown increasingly anxious in the weeks before her disappearance. She had expressed her fear that Mitchell would try to stop her from leaving. Despite this fear, Lindsay remained determined, believing that leaving was the best thing for her and her children. In early December 1998, Lindsay told a close friend that she planned to confront Mitchell and tell him she was leaving after Christmas. Investigators later theorized that Mitchell likely became aware of Lindsay's plans, triggering the fatal confrontation in mid-December. Detectives described her murder as a premeditated act, committed to prevent her from leaving and taking the children with her. Lindsay's decision to leave ultimately became a key part of the prosecution's case, illustrating the controlling and violent nature of her relationship with Mitchell. The prosecution highlighted that Lindsay had no reason to abandon her children and had not taken any personal belongings or money with her when she disappeared. His numerous media appearances, in which he calmly described Lindsay's alleged abandonment of the family, were framed as part of a calculated effort to mislead both the public and the authorities. Mitchell's confession to the police in June 2000 was a central piece of evidence in the trial. Under questioning, he finally admitted to killing Lindsay after 18 months of maintaining that she had left him. According to his confession, on December 16, 1998, Mitchell strangled Lindsay to death in their Southport home after an argument. He left her body on their bed for 2 days. On December 18th, his brother, Lynsey Wilson, assisted in moving the body to the bathroom. On December 23rd, the brothers dismembered Lindsay's body with a hacksaw. Mitchell then disposed of the body parts around Southport while walking with his children. Forensic evidence played a significant role in the trial, particularly the discovery of Lindsay's remains. After Mitchell's confession in June 2000, investigators recovered several parts of Lindsay's body in various locations around Southport. Mitchell agreed to take police where he buried Lindsay's body parts.
The following day, we followed Mitchell and the police on a horrifying tour to find Lindsay's remains.
What I was hoping for, that he wasn't taking us on a wild goose chase and just seeking more publicity. I was amazed. He looked around and asked if the press were there, because he was quite eager to be seen on camera. He was laughing and joking with the officers, no remorse whatsoever.
Lindsay's torso was found in July 2000 in underbrush near the Southport coastline. Further remains, additional body parts were discovered in different locations, confirming the gruesome details of Mitchell's confession. The forensic team determined that Lindsay had been strangled. Marks on her remains were consistent with dismemberment using household tools, which Mitchell admitted to using during his confession. The recovery of Lindsay's body not only corroborated Mitchell's confession, but also provided the jury with undeniable physical evidence of the crime. Mitchell's brother, Lynsey Wilson, was a co-defendant in the trial, charged with helping to dispose of Lindsay's body. The prosecution argued that Lynsey had knowingly assisted Mitchell in his efforts to conceal the murder. Lynsey admitted to helping Mitchell transport and dispose of body parts, but claimed he had been coerced into doing so. The court heard that Lynsey had remained silent about the crime for 18 months, even as police intensified their investigation and made several public appeals for information. The jury ultimately found Lynsey guilty of assisting an offender, and he received a 7-year sentence. The jury quickly found Mitchell guilty, and on January 16, 2001, Mitchell received a life sentence with a minimum term of 17 years. The murder had devastating effects on Lindsay's family. Her brother, Peter Wilson Jr., struggled to cope with her death and was found hanging in the loft of his parents' home in April 2001. Their father believed Peter's suicide was directly linked to Lindsay's murder. As of February 2025, Mitchell Quy remains incarcerated. He has been denied parole multiple times due to concerns about his behavior and lack of remorse. In May 2022, his third parole bid was rejected, with the panel citing ongoing issues related to violence, aggression, and drug use. The panel concluded that he was not suitable for release or transfer to an open prison. The Mitchell and Lynsey Quy case is a stark reminder of the dangers of domestic abuse and the lengths to which some individuals will go to conceal their crimes. Mitchell's deceitful behavior following the murder highlights the importance of thorough investigations and the need for vigilance in cases of reported domestic violence. Lindsay's tragic end underscores the critical need for support systems for victims of domestic abuse and the importance of early intervention. Lindsay's family prioritized stability and privacy for Jack and Robin. They avoided media attention to protect the children from the public scrutiny surrounding the case. They were raised with love and support from Lindsay's family, who focused on giving them as normal a life as possible.